What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 104 of the Offshore Gamescast. I'm one half of an evil, grimy, slimy, dirty, just bad, scummy little entity. And you know what? I'm Dave.
And I'm Dylan. And you're definitely the Gollum here. I'm the Smeagol.
What's the difference? Is Gollum like the let's let's go kill and put bugs
Yes.
in our butt?
So I don't know if there's like real deep lore explanations, but Smeagol is who they were before they got fucked up like by the ring and corrupted when they were a hobbit like creature. Their name was Smeagol. Then Gollum came, I think, as almost like a putting another personality onto all the evil shit you have to do to survive. But I don't know if there's like more lore to that or not. But yeah, if he's talking about killing things, it's Gollum. If he's actually like being treated nicely and seems to be trusting someone, that's Smeagol.
We're talking about Lord of the Rings Gollum today.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, we are.
the way that I think about it is funny because I saw it once, like all the whole trilogy with you, the extended, because we had to,
You have to.
and I only remember so much, but like I understand that the ring has like qualities about it that like it talks to you and like it just makes you feel strong and good. But I just the way that I look at it is that you know this man wanted to be invisible so bad that like part of his brain broke and was like, I gotta be invisible all the time, and the other half was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be invisible all the time.
Yeah, that's all it was about.
That's the way that I look at it.
Sauron's actually just really, really introverted.
Everybody in the entire universe of Lord of the Rings just like really wants to be invisible, and that's the whole shtick.
That's it. That's all it is.
It's like, no, I want to be. Hey, let's cross this mountain. Let's take a few weeks to cross this mountain and maybe go be invisible. That'd be pretty cool, right, Sam?
That's the whole reason Sam joined in the first place.
Gandalf's riding down. I'm gonna make this hobbit invisible. He's not even gonna know it.
Fucking typical Gandalf, always a trickster.
Balrog's there. You shall not be invisible. I will not. I won't let it happen.
Yeah, the Balrog was just really upset because no one would let him play the invisible game.
I think he's upset already because like he's look at them fingers. What's he gonna do? Put it on a nail? It's not gonna do anything.
It does
Oh, what is it? Grow to the size of the.
it morphs to the hand, yeah.
Damn it! All right, fine. Then the Balrog is just as upset and
I don't know if
really
there's a
wants
limit
to
to
be
that.
invisible.
I don't know if it's like, all right, we can't go that big.
Like imagine. Oh, now I'm thinking about ring lore. Do you think the ring is smart enough where if you were to put it on the finger of a Balrog, take it off immediately and like put it over your head, would it? Do you think just crush you, or would it be like, take me off, like, ha ha, you got
I
me,
don't I
and then
don't
put me
think
on your finger?
I don't I don't think
Does it
it would
matter what
work.
finger, or is it just the
No,
pointer's just cool? Like that's just a cool
no,
thing.
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I think that answers all of my questions as of late.
That's all that's been holding you up lately.
In the past probably 40 seconds, yeah, that's what's been holding me up.
Yeah, so today we're talking about Lord of the Rings Gollum. Dave, what are we doing next week?
Next week we'll be diving into as much Final Fantasy 16 as we can. I'm like 3 hours deep into the 14-hour movie that it is, and not to mention probably 2 hours deep into like the 30-hour gameplay that it is. Like, oh my god, dude, it's something. It's
You got some
interesting.
16ing to do this week.
I got questions. I got so many questions. We'll see if they're answered. Find out next week.
After that, August 3rd, we'll be talking Pikmin 4.
Pikmin 4, some reason.
Pikmin. I played the first two growing up on the GameCube. They were fun little games.
Never played the Pikmins.
Pikmin 3, I never played that one. It seemed pretty different. Pikmin 4
They're,
seems like back
they're
to the
like
core.
lighthearted gremlins. Don't get them wet.
No, they unless they're blue. The
Okay, I
blue
get
ones
that.
get wet.
Can the red ones just walk on fire then?
No, I don't think that's a. I mean, listen, it's been a long time since I played a Pikmin game, but I think the red was just a basic Pikmin. They're just run of the mill, average all arounders.
Do the green ones pretend to be plants?
No, you see now what I know. There's yellow ones, and I think there are green ones, but it's I'm lost at that point.
Is the yellow one faster than the speed of light?
I think one was meant more for fighting.
I hope it's the green one.
I want to say it was the yellow one.
I hope it's the green one.
But I can't answer that for sure. I'm sure I'll have more info on that in a few weeks. You probably noticed Lyle is not here. She is in recovery from her surgery that she mentioned last week. We miss her, but she will be back before we know it.
Back full of indie games to talk about, and good times to come. Laughter, happiness, smiles.
You look like you're about to clap.
Always. I clapped today, and you know what? Someone looked at me. But what are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, yeah, your claps are like sonic booms.
I never played it.
It's just like that. And as always, if you enjoy anything and you want to support us, the best way to do that is to leave us a rating, leave us a review, comment on things, anything like that on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen, wherever you watch. Don't forget to watch the video version. We'll have some gameplay up. You're going to want to see this one.
It'll be all you need ever.
Yeah.
For this game.
All right. Let's jump into this, Dave.
Tell me, Deej.
This was developed and published by, is it Daedalic? Is that how you say it?
Daedalic. I'm going to go with Daedalic, because that's what my headcanon says.
That's what my headcanon says, too. Daedalic Entertainment developed and published the game. It came out on May 25th, 2023 on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. For the record, I played this on an Xbox Series S.
How did this come out on the Switch?
I cannot even begin to fathom what this plays like on Switch.
Full priced.
And I'm just gonna go ahead and you know I'm not exactly a big drinker, but talking about Gollum here.
Dude, I'm
crack open
right there with you.
I'm drinking a Malibu watermelon mojito, and that's going to get me fucked up enough to talk about this game.
Fun fact, Dylan loves watermelon. You'll see it in most of his monster cans and just in his stomach.
So I will say I've switched off of energy drinks lately. I've been drinking the buys.
Watermelon?
Like the tea. And yep, one of the flavors I got in that process was indeed watermelon.
There it is.
Watermelon's yummy. I like watermelon.
Fries are good.
Fries are good?
5 calories.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, buys are good. They're yummy. All right.
What's not yummy?
This game is not yummy. I'm just going to throw it out there right at the beginning. This is legitimately one of the worst games I've ever played.
I love talking about it because in a year, arguably the best year in gaming, we get one of the just funniest duds ever. Like this is like worse than E.T. level. Like throw it in a dirt pile in Arizona for 30 years back.
This game is so bad. All right, here's the concept. You play as Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and this is all about what his dealio was before the story of Lord of the Rings, when he is a prisoner in Mordor, and then when Gandalf is questioning him about what he told the enemy and the ring and what he knows about it and where it could be, all that fun stuff. So game opens up You're in an elvish prison. Gandalf is kind of like interrogating you about the ring and what happened in Mordor when you were a prisoner there. Flashback. You're in Mordor. You're a prisoner. And this flashback of being a prisoner is over half the game.
Which is ridiculous.
There's 10 chapters in this game. It is during the like 6th chapter where you and I listen. There's going to be some spoiler talk here, I suppose, but if you know anything about Lord of the Rings, obviously Gollum is not a prisoner in Mordor the whole time. So believe it or not, he gets out of Mordor. So that happens all the way in chapter 6. And that's kind of just the concept. It's about following Gollum during this journey. This journey sucks.
Can I interject for a quick second?
Yeah.
In the background, I've been doing some quick research, right?
I love research.
So, not only did this game come out on the Switch, but this is a full-priced $60 game. This is worse than E.T. E.T., when it came out for the Atari in December of 1982, apparently Atari games were about $20 to $30 back then. Now,
that's not bad for back then.
Back then, but you inflate $30. Let's hypothetically say that it was a $30 game.
Okay.
You do $30 in 1982. Today, that would be $94.85.
Ooh, that's pretty bad.
Now, while not necessarily being as expensive, the lack of content in a game like this.
I got it for $40. It was on sale on Xbox.
That's the thing. They do the digital shit. It's cheaper digital. But if you have those people like me who want the physical like real bad and are collectors and stuff, and you have them spending full price on this.
$40 was $2 is too much on this game. It is. So first off, in this game, so like I said, the flashback, you're a prisoner. You're always a prisoner in just about this entire game. And for the record, I have not finished this game. I am on chapter. I'm not going to finish this game. I played for a few more hours last night, and I am on chapter 8 out of 10. So I'm just about there. But I had to call it and just say, I cannot play this anymore. We're just going to do this recording.
Spoiler warning if it fucking matters. This game sucks. Like,
yeah, if you can't tell, this game, it's bad. I'm not going to have anything positive to say about this game. So you're always a prisoner. You go straight from being a prisoner in Mordor, just right into being a elvish prisoner. And the entire game is, I need to find out a way to escape. You get caught, maybe with a little info, and then you just start from the beginning. Like back in your prison cell. Like, we gotta try again. But you're always given, especially in Mordor, these little tasks to do, because you're also, you are a slave.
In that sense, essentially, is it not a roguelike? Where you go?
No, because you're not replaying the same stuff.
Okay.
It's usually, although you do a couple
I highly doubt they have more than 6 assets for the environment.
I will say it is a nice change in scenery once you're out of Mordor, which is over half the game of just bland rock and lava.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So it is a stealth game. They were clearly going for an old school style stealth game, which leading up to the release, it seemed like it was going to be a fine game.
Have you played Styx?
No, but it gave vibes of Styx from what I understand about Styx. And it seems like it was going to be like a fine game. I was excited because it's Lord of the Rings and I'm a fan. So, I didn't have huge expectations, but it looked fine. It's just, first off, this game plays like garbage. The jumps are floaty. It is when you move Gollum around, it's almost like driving a car in a game. So like you start
sliding.
moving and it's not slidey. He
Oh, it's
just
just late. The latency is bad.
he almost has like a little bit of a build up before he starts going full speed. So like I'll hit up on the thumbstick and then he's like, ugh. You get what I'm saying?
So they're just trying to emphasize that he's a weak little bitch.
But he's not, because he can jump like a madman.
When is this supposed to take place?
Pretty much right before Lord of the Rings. So, all right, think of the movies. You know,
Yeah.
in the very beginning, when they're doing the whole intro thing, the Galadriel is narrating it, and it cuts to a brief thing of, I think you see a silhouette of Gollum being tortured, and he's like, Backhands, Shire. That's him
Okay.
being tortured in Mordor. That's where you start this game.
Okay, so yeah, he's a little bitch.
Yeah, but let me tell you, this guy can fucking strangle an orc to death. This guy can do insane jumps.
This
Just
guy's
insane.
sole focus in life is to just be invisible.
Well, that's why it's a stealth game. So you hide
But
in shadows.
there's no point in the game where you get the ring though. There just isn't.
Well, no,
There
there's
just
not.
isn't.
So you're hiding in shadows, like straight up shadows cast by things or some tall grass. And whenever you do, Gollum, his whole character turns into like a black shadow with like gray eyes, which is
God.
strange to me.
They would have saved more money if they just left the model.
And it does the thing. And listen, I am going to be a little nitpicky here because I know this is just kind of stealth games. But it does a thing where, like, if you're in a shadow, it doesn't matter if they are standing right next to you and looking right at you. You're in a shadow. You're fine. Of course, as long as if they see you and you're being chased and you go into a shadow, that's not going to work. But if you go under a table, for example, and they're looking for you, and you crawl under a table, you're fine. They don't know how to look under things.
Perfect.
You just crawl under a table and they're just like, huh? And then you wait a little bit, and then they're just like, I don't know where he went. Same thing with climbing up on something. When you get up on a platform where no one can shoot you, it's the same thing. They can't climb. They can't do anything to come get you.
Wow.
You can do this stupid thing where you throw rocks at like a metal object, and they'll be like, huh? And get distracted. And here's my issue with this is that you only have to do that a few times, like a handful of times throughout the game. And the design of the levels is so bad. You'll see it I believe I was recording this part. It took me maybe 20 minutes in this one little room because they have one guy in the middle, right?
Mm.
Like in this big middle room off to the side, there's a metal thing in the center of the room that you throw a rock at. He gets distracted. You can kind of go behind him. And then there's another guard with his back to you. So, of course, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so now I need to distract this guard to get past him. Past that guard, I don't even know why that guard was there. Because you go past that guard, which distracting him is impossible because it's not meant for it. And it's just a little dead end. So I don't know what the point of that guard is. You were supposed to climb up behind the first guard, but it was not clear at all. There were no environmental clues saying, like, climb here.
Mm.
And that's a lot of this game. It is very unclear where you're supposed to go. Also,
Developers would be
checkpoints.
like, this is obvious, says the person who's played through the level and made it.
Right. And checkpoints are just bad. So, first off, if you fall or if you get caught, it's just like, you're done. You're either dead or you're caught. Go back to the checkpoint. And you die very easily. If someone shoots you like once or twice, you're dead. And you don't have to fall very far either to die. And then it'll put you back at a checkpoint, right? Sometimes it loads that checkpoint with an enemy looking right at you and immediately snatching you.
Nice.
And that's just that checkpoint. So you gotta try and move real quick as soon as that checkpoint loads in to somehow get into a spot where they can't get you.
Nice.
So that happened quite a few times. Let's talk about the parkour now. It is like taking, you know, the climbing and like in Uncharted or a Tomb Raider, it's like taking that for the second half of the game, and it's just that, and it controls like shit.
Nice.
So sometimes Gollum is like a magnet. You'll jump and like he'll just kind of float towards the ledge, like gravitate right towards it and then grab onto it.
Nice.
Other times you jump and it's just he just kind of jumps way off course and you miss and you fall and you die. Sometimes there's, especially a little later on, there's a couple times where you do big jumps into water, and I don't know if they didn't account for acceleration and jumping into. Every time you do a big jump into water, you land and you kind of sink down for a second, and then it does a quick like fade out to black, fade in, and you're just floating in the pool of water. So I don't know if they didn't. I don't know. I don't know
It's
if
a
the
whole
game
new
doesn't know what to
room
do
that
when
you
you jump into
enter.
water.
I mean, I've seen some videos where, like they'd be high up on a cliff, they'd hop down, and then they'd not even reach the water. They would just hit like a death floor, and then just be like 20 feet above the water and just die.
So, also kind of glad you mentioned that, because another thing is that sometimes I'll be climbing up a wall, right? And then towards the very top, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to jump up to this last part, to this last ledge. If I have it happen multiple times, I'll jump, and as soon as I jump, just dead. No reason. Just dead.
Huh.
The button prompts on the screen are not always correct. So if you're hanging from a ledge and you hit X, it does like the backwards jump, where you jump
Okay.
backwards.
Do you have to like look in the direction, or is it just jump straight
No,
backwards?
you just jump straight backwards.
Okay.
And you usually know that's what you have to do because the button prompts will appear for like, hey, you could jump backwards here. Except when you're running, all right, sometimes Gollum can just run. If there's white marks on the wall, he can just sprint straight up that wall.
Okay.
And sometimes you have to like run straight up and then jump backwards, right?
Hmm.
The button prompt for X comes up like, all right, jump backwards. No. Don't hit X. That doesn't do anything. You have to run straight up and then hit the actual jump button while holding back on the joystick for that to work. So button prompts are not always correct.
Huh.
It does throw in new things with parkour where it's like, all of a sudden these spots on the wall have white Gollum handprints all over it. It does a thing where like, you jump onto it and you can kind of like sit there for a split second and then jump off of it. That never worked right. First off, never explained. They just randomly appeared at some point.
So
And
he's like
it never works
sleepwalking
properly.
and just painting his hands on like
Yeah, I don't
finger painting.
I don't
But
really
then
know.
but it's like when a cat sees itself in a mirror, so it's like it starts fighting it, so it just runs up and starts jumping up against it, backing off, and it's like it doesn't understand at the same time, but it's just angry.
There were also some like continuity errors, it seemed to me. Like in the very
Not
beginning of the
surprised.
game, you're going through these caves, and there's some cave markings, and one is one that Gollum clearly made of like the ring in a rock, which by the way is just a circle. And it's meant to be
Nice.
the ring. And then later on in the game, you go through that cave again, and it shows him like marking it in, as if that was supposed to be like, the first time he was doing it. Also, just an atmosphere. I never felt like you would think as a stealth game, it's like, oh, enemies are chasing you or you're about to get caught. Like that should be like a high pressure thing. I never actually felt threatened at any point. Even in the beginning of the game, where you first get caught by the ring wraiths, and you're in a cave and they're all like surrounding you. Like all the different paths you go up is like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. And I just kind of, you'll see in the recording, kind of kept running up each path, and it showed them like slowly walking up the path. But then every time I'd go back to that path, it seems like they were not actually making any progress towards me. And this like intense music was playing, and it was like minutes of this. So eventually I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna try and run by one, which I did, and then I got caught. But it was like, you're supposed to get caught there.
Oh, that's
But it was like
okay.
they were supposed to be closing in on you with this intense music, and either they were walking really slow, or their position kept getting reset when I would walk down another path and then back up the original one.
That's dumb.
Yeah. And a lot of the jumps, the distance never was like, even towards the end of the game, it never felt like I
Are
would
there
look at
any
jumps
sort
like
of like
I shouldn't be able to
upgrades or
make that.
skills? Can you do extra jumps, or
No, there's no upgrades and no skills.
you're just walking around doing chores being a bitch?
Yes. Um,
Okay.
the jumps never feel like I'm always looking at jump like I can't make that. That's way too far. And then I do and I can, but it never like this could just be a me thing. My brain never properly adjusted to like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, this feels right. This is the type of platformer it is.
I had that problem with Dying Light 2. Apparently, people say they fixed it, but compared to the first game, that jumping felt so floaty, and it had jumps where I'm like, no way. There's no way. Like I should be able to make that.
Yeah. So this was like that. So that's like the basic. That those are the two halves of the game: stealth and parkour. Sorry, I'll get to arguing in a second. Uh, stealth and parkour, and like I said earlier, so much of the game is there's these little fucking stupid tasks you have to do throughout the game. So you're a martyr, you're a prisoner. You have to go do slave shit for them. So it's just like, oh, lure these animal things into their pens and close the lever before they hit you. And you do that once, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna try and escape in the middle of the night again. Ah, I got caught, but maybe got a little piece of info. And that's the next day. It's like, run through these caves and find the dead miners to get their medallions to show that you did. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna try and escape again, do more parkour and stealth, and then you get caught again. And you find out at some point that Gollum is marked as like special by Sauron, so no harm can come to him. So you could just, it just doesn't matter.
What a rewarding gameplay loop.
Yeah.
What a reason to play the game. What a reason to want to know what happens next.
And then you do the fucking find the 5 medallions or whatever again. You do that one a couple times. And then there's one where you like moved up. You're in the tower now, and you have to make a bird, and you get to choose what color you make it. I went with white. You have white, black, and either brown or gray. I went with white. It doesn't matter. So the bird happened. Later, the dude is like, ah, yes, the black birds were always the most ferocious. My bird is white. And then later on, like
He's just
when there's a bit
spitting
of a
random
time
bird
jump.
facts.
No. Later on, when when there's a bit of a time jump, and it's like a bigger, older bird, it's just black. It just didn't matter that I chose it to be white.
Do they all just
I would think that no matter what you choose, it probably just always ends up that way. I don't know if that was an error or if it was just, oh, most people probably just gonna pick the blackbird. Or maybe they forgot that there were choices.
so bad? Oh my god.
And then you go through a whole tutorial of like commanding the bird to go grab things for you. You do that maybe one more time in the game.
Yo, Uber's getting so expensive, bro. Can you just go and pick up the food? It's literally right up the road.
And you just do that once. Otherwise, a bird is just there in cutscenes, and it's always just Gollum being like, "Oh, the bird found us again," and that's that. I know.
For spoilers, Dylan isn't gonna beat the game. The final choice is supposedly a morality choice where you're supposed to bond with this dumbass little bird, and you either keep it alive and save it, or you just snap its neck, and it's like, okay.
So let's use that to segue into the arguing thing, which I want you to go to igdb.com. You can do it, Dave, but the viewers or the listeners, you do that too. All right, you there?
Yeah.
Look up Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Got it.
Got it? Scroll down in the bottom right, click on Press Kit.
How far are we? Oh,
all the way down.
Gotcha. Here I
Look
am.
at the images. There's an image of him. So he's like in his head, right? It's Gollum and Smeagol arguing. and it's a
Yeah.
it's his face with like the options floating around it.
Yeah, this is what was, as if people don't know, shown in the trailers and
Right.
advertisement.
And
This
it
is a
looks fine.
press kit. Yeah, this
Like,
is something believable.
and all right, the game it's just one side is basically just a straight on of Gollum's face. And the left side is, I think you said it was Arial font.
Yeah, it's like a college student made it. It's like a full gray background. You have two dumbass choices, and it's just like the most basic average font.
Yep. And
And
it's supposed to be like you choose either, it happens multiple times in the game, you could choose either a Gollum response or a Smeagol response. And if it's anything about a decision, which none of the decisions fucking matter whatsoever, if you do like a Smeagol decision, let's say, like, oh, I'm being nice here, you then have to convince Gollum in your own head. And you just choose the extremely obvious options
yeah,
to convince Gollum, or vice versa. But also, it just doesn't matter because this game is broken. Here's an example. Later on, you have an option. Someone's offering you this fruit, but you don't completely trust them.
mhm,
So you have the option of eating it or not eating it. I was trusting of them as Smeagol. I was like, let's eat it. I convinced Gollum to eat it.
yeah.
Conversation ends. Immediately the character goes, ah, you decided not to eat it. Good choice. So it just doesn't. But then I'm pretty sure Gollum does eat it, but it also just doesn't fucking matter. It was very confusing.
What is this game, man?
Yeah. There's another point with fucking Greshnig. This is back in Mordor. He's another prisoner with you. He's this
Okay,
dude, and
okay.
you're helping him out because basically he can do something that you need. So you're kind of using him.
Can he get
Uh,
invisible? Can he make
no,
invisible?
he
Then
can.
what is he good for?
He's a cart pusher, and he can
Do we need a
push.
cart pushed?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
is
do.
that time to get into the platforming puzzles where we got to move carts to climb on things?
No. But you do command him to do stuff. So first, you have to command him. Remember, I talked about the animal luring thing into their pens. They have to pull a lever to close the gate. Well,
Yeah.
he's a new slave, so you have to instruct him how to do that, and that is literally a. There's like 3 points you can direct him to. Direct him there. First off, directing him in that mini game was fucking pointless because you do it once and then you never do that again,
Cool.
and it was awful because first off he moves slow. If the animals see him, he's immediately dead.
You're just training your replacement. Like,
You have to like lead him to go kind of around, then back towards the middle a little bit where the animals are, but not all the way, just a little bit to get their attention, and then send him immediately back to the lever to close the gate, to close them in while they chase him. But most of the time they're going to kill him until eventually you hope that they just run right into their little pen so he can close the gate with the lever. And then later on, you have to use him for like a water puzzle of like raising and lowering the water. He can't swim, so if he gets caught in the water, he immediately dies. And you have to direct him towards levers to pull. He sucked. That whole thing sucked.
oh, okay. All right. Um, what's next?
That's most of the gameplay stuff right there. But we got more stuff to talk about in the visuals and performance section. It visually looks awful. It looks so bad. The animations are awful. He will suddenly go from like extremely wide-eyed, bugged out to just like eyelids half closed immediately after. The graphics are just awful. They're bad.
What
He
gen?
looks like shit.
What gen are we looking at?
It's like if you could have a stat, but all right, it's like if you could have a higher resolution PS2 game.
PS2 it
Does that
is.
make sense? Like
Yeah,
it doesn't look as blurry as like a PS2 game would.
it's because people. It's people. It's hard to make an argument that it's like it looks like this anymore. It's like, well, it does, but then the other people like it looks too good. Not just because it has more polys. It can
Yes.
still look like it. Like, yeah, it looks like a PS2 game.
Um, the frames are awful. Like the frames are constantly dropping. all the time. It gets to a point later on where it's just pretty much always choppy. And in the beginning of the game, I also think you can see this in the video version with the game recording. One of the first things I did was go into settings. I was like, oh, this is choppy. And sure enough, I was already on performance mode. So that's the
Nice.
best it runs.
Sick.
Um,
Full priced.
yeah. I have had multiple crashes. Game just crashes.
As it should. It's full price.
I've had volume issues to where it's a cutscene, it's very quiet, and then it's out of the cutscene, right back up to full volume.
As it should. Full priced.
Also had cutscenes where Gollum is. There was a specific one. He's talking to these two elves, and in the cutscene, the elves are just not there. They're just invisible, and no, they don't have
That's
the ring.
exactly what he wants. That's why he's talking to them. He's so jealous. He wants it so bad.
And then as soon as the cutscene's over, and you're back to moving Gollum around, they're there, of course, but
They
not
forgot.
in the cutscene.
They forgot how to invisible.
You're always getting stuck.
On
Anything and everything and nothing. As in literally nothing. You'll just be stuck on nothing. In nothing.
oh.
Unless maybe there's a rock wearing the ring.
And it's invisible. And that's exactly what he wants. It's the only thing he wants.
I've sent you a clip of just running on nothing and not moving, and then trying to jump out of it and immediately falling and dying.
Yep.
That's the norm.
That's just the game running at its best.
And just to again, the game design. It gets just, the further you get in, the more and more it's like, I don't know where to go. And it's not in a puzzle like, oh, I gotta find the path. It's just,
there's just no direction.
There's too much open. There's no direction. And it's just too open with seemingly too many paths to go down. I don't know if they were trying to do a thing of you could choose what your stealth path is going to be, which way you want to go. But it just ends up making it confusing because half the time you loop back around to where you were. It's like, oh, okay, great. Happy I took that path.
Yep.
You go down one path and it's like, all right, I got through it. Oh, I see the way to go here. And you go down that way, but it was just actually another path to get there. And you just loop right back to the beginning of where you were. But that's so unclear. Also, plenty of times where I'm supposed to climb, and the example I gave earlier of how it's so unclear you're supposed to go behind that guy, that happened to me multiple times throughout the game where I'm running around what do I do? Oh, I guess I could climb this now. That's a thing.
Now, it's a Metroidvania. You've unlocked the knowledge after you've walked by. You're like, maybe. Curiosity is taken over.
There's also just specific points, too, where it's oh, I need to jump off these vines and onto this ledge. But oh boy, you better fucking hope you find the pixel perfect spot to do that, or else you are falling to your death, and then having to do multiple jumps to even get back to that point to begin with.
So it's the game that everybody loves on the PC, where you climb and you fall and you climb and then you win.
No, because that game's actually it's going for a specific thing and it accomplishes it.
But Gollum has it. Gollum has what everybody wants. But
that's not what it's going for.
So why? I don't get it. Gollum it's a life sim. It has the falling game. You can raise a bird, so it's very PETA friendly. We won't talk about the ending.
Yeah, don't talk about the ending.
I don't see how it's not just everything anyone's ever wanted.
This is one of those situations where you have to know that the actual devs that were working on this, when this game came out, they were like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be a disaster.
I don't know how they allowed it to come out.
It is legitimately. And here's the other thing I want to say. When it's not completely broken and you're actually just playing the game, it's fucking boring. You do the same stealth and the same parkour. It never changes for 15 hours. It's boring. And it's, for maybe the first hour of playing it, it's funny bad. Right? Where it's it's so bad that it's making you laugh. And then that wears off.
I heard about this. It's right.
Yeah. And then you're just fucking bored. That's why I had to stop last night. I was falling asleep and I'm like, I can't finish this.
Can we
It's
get
either
the dude?
broken or boring as fuck.
Can we get the dude who played the Cuphead tutorial to play through the entire game, like live stream it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The dude who had a lot of trouble with the Cuphead tutorial and just couldn't jump and get over it. I want to see him play the entirety of Gollum.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You got to get on the internet. You're a gaming person. You know nothing about video games.
That is true. I'm in my bubble. I know a lot about Gollum though.
Yeah,
My final score for this game is it's a 1. The only reason it's not a 0 is because it's not so broken that you couldn't complete it. You can complete it.
It's playable to a point.
This is legitimately just such a bad game to its core. It's either broken or boring. They couldn't even make it so bad that it's funny. They couldn't make it The Room. If it was just The Room of games, that would be great. I would give it a 10.
If they did not take themselves seriously whatsoever, absolutely. But they used aerial fun on a gray background, and that's what they had to show for a full priced game.
And just like as a side note, we were talking a little bit of this before we were recording. The voice acting is also not great. Like it's not. It's far from one of the main issues of this game, but it's after the movies with Andy Serkis. It's hard to do anything that is different.
I was saying this before. When you do something like this, and you decide to take something that's like a property and whatnot, if you're bringing out to consumers where their only ever focal point has been something like this character from the movies, that's all they've ever known, and you're doing something that is not that, you've already made a mistake. At least for its first go around, you've already fucked up.
And that's like, obviously the movies are based on the books, but I think the majority of people, when you say like Gollum, Aragorn, Frodo, they're thinking of the movies. They're picturing Viggo Mortensen. They're picturing Elijah Wood. Like they're not thinking of these. And the whole thing when this game was announced, like, yeah, we're going to stick more to the books and not so much the movies.
But you got to pay more for that.
We have a write-in. This Hopple. As the last time they wrote in, I will never be able to say their Twitter name. At Ayo at Ayo Aotarius.
Attack on Titan, even after rewatch, overall, as swell.
You could have. You were so close.
It's as swell. It's as swell as it was.
Well, now it makes me wonder if AOT is Attack on Titan. Hopple, add us. Let us know. They said, would love to play it. What? Oh, that's on Twitter, by the way. That's a Twitter username. They said, would love to play it. Was excited. But the look and gameplay, sad face. And because the dev studio is closed now, there will be no big update to improve it, like No Man's Sky. Here, so you're not wrong. I was also excited because, again, Lord of the Rings fan. The game never looked outstanding by any means, but an average stealth game in that universe, I was so down for. The look and gameplay are nothing like what it was marketed as, and I see the similarity there with No Man's Sky. The difference between the two is that No Man's Sky, when it launched, it's not that it was bad; it was just missing everything.
Yeah.
This game is so broken to its core that I don't know what update fixes it.
You can't. There's nothing they could do to make it better.
Even if they fixed all the technical issues, they took care of all that, then it's just boring. It's not it's not a fun game then. You have a boring, not broken game. Maybe it elevates it to a 4 out of 10 for me.
There's nothing to do at all.
No.
And it was so bad that the dev studio is no longer a dev studio. They are focusing on publishing. They have absolutely just given up on developing any video games, canceled their other Lord of the Rings project, and in the process have laid off 25 people.
Which that part really sucks because
Hmm.
you know those people, like the actual devs on the game, they know. they,
It's always just some couple of higher ups that make some
yeah.
dumbass decisions and really fuck shit up just because
Yep.
they
I'm
want it
sure.
out.
I can only imagine the amount of crunch they were put under just for it to release in this state.
I bet they were even yelled at because it didn't come out around the same time as the Lord of the Rings show.
Yep, probably. So again, you feel bad for those people. You obviously never want to see people lose their jobs,
Hmm.
especially when it was almost certainly not their fault whatsoever. So that sucks.
Those people that probably made those decisions and laid off those people also decided that the deluxe edition should exist for an extra $10 more. You can get an art gallery. Let's see, which in a game so bare bones should have been in it
Let
already.
me ask you something, because you've always been like a bigger like deluxe edition, collector's edition type guy. Is an art gallery for a game? What are we looking at there? Are we looking at like
I would assume like models and like concept art or just like general setting art. But in most cases, I don't care, especially if it's not in just like a physical art book that like comes with it. I don't care.
it's digital?
Oh yeah,
Oh fuck!
everything, everything about this is digital.
Oh fuck that!
That's just the
You should
beginning.
have to pay extra money to have to launch the game to look at some pictures.
A lore compendium, which in a game so bare bones should have been in it anyways. This is literally like opening up the menu and going and like finding out like the grimoire or just in like information about context about the game. You gotta buy that shit.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to buy it, but also in a game that's based off Lord of the Rings, which all of that lore is so readily available.
Yep.
Why are you gonna buy? Why should what is the like the justification for that?
I
It's not like they made their own worlds as
hardcore
like the
collectors, maybe this is people
but
who
it's digital.
need some other random person's words for some reason for their universe. I don't know. We got an original soundtrack, which fine. No one's gonna listen to your
There
music.
was nothing. I could not tell you. I do want to say at one point I launched the game again and the main menu started. I don't know if it was a horn or something, like one of those big horns. It's like it was kind of sound
Hmm.
like farting, and that was like the main
Nice,
menu music for a solid 3 to 5 seconds before
nice.
going into like generic sounds. So do with that what you will.
This is the worst part. They put behind this $10 deluxe edition a fully lore accurate voice over dubbing. And what's the language? Um,
What do you mean?
let's see. Sindarin. That's like one of the languages, Sindarin.
I mean, I will say later in the game when there's elves and they're speaking to each other and they don't want you to know what they're saying, they will speak elvish to each other, and you just
A-
don't know what they're saying.
Apparently, they might have voiced the whole game in that. Additional voice acting in the Elvish tongue of Sindarin, done by professionals and made for Middle Earth diehard fans who want to immerse themselves even more while exploring the world of Tolkien.
That should not be more money. That should
You
be
have
an
to
option.
spend more money to hear lore accurate dialogue.
That's like a new Yakuza game coming out, and it's the English dub here in North America. But if you want the actual Japanese voice, you gotta spend extra money. That
So
okay.
what the actual fuck are they holding back content for like that? For a dev that's also a publisher, this is something that's solely them at fault for making these stupid ass decisions. And on top of that, this being a full priced $60 game to make it that 10 more dollars, everything but this shitty soundtrack that no one is going to listen to anyway and could rip off Spotify if they even cared is stuff that should have been in the game that is already so fucking empty and broken.
And
But let's make more money because
th-
we're fucking egregious and shitty.
this is again one of those games that, again, if it was perfect, if there were no technical issues and it was just a boring game, there's no way to justify this being $60. I felt
No.
like I overpaid for, like, this should have been a $20 to $30 game. Maybe with how games are priced now, $30. But that should, like, aside from it being broken, just the general scope of the game and what you're actually doing and what it offers, 60 is insane. 70 is even more insane, especially for what they're offering.
Yeah. You got to spend 10 more bucks if you want to use Kratos' axe in the new God of War.
This is bad. This is legit so bad.
Who let this happen? Like there are people out there who are like, and don't get me wrong, devs are not the ones at fault. Like 99% of the time, devs are not the ones at fault. But at a point, as an overall thing, and this one especially goes out to the higher ups, how do you let something like this happen? Because this is just, it gets to a point where that's just not okay. And that's just like, I'm waiting. This is 100% a game that I could definitely see in like a year or two, a class action lawsuit finally popping up from someone being like, hey, look at this false ass advertisement. Let's fucking do something about it. I'm a
So
hardcore Lord of the Rings fan and this isn't okay.
I would imagine this happened because whoever are the higher ups there probably were like, we've invested so much money into this game, we need it to just come out so we can get our money back.
Shareholders are the worst things ever.
I mean, yeah.
And in some cases, so is the Singapore government.
Skull and Bones is the best game ever.
Skull and Bones will always enter the episodes with how bad it is. And like, this is worse than that.
This is definitely, I'd imagine playing Skull and Bones, it's not, I would think it's not going to be broken. Doesn't mean it will be fun.
I don't know. It's probably going to be broken. Most games nowadays are broken.
Yes, but this takes it to a whole other level.
It's making quite a stand. It's making quite a cripple sit down.
It's just so, and I look at, like, after playing it, so like I knew some of the scores. Like I knew whoever did the review for IGN gave it a 4 going in. I was like, all right, that's,
they got a
I know it's bad,
good
but then like
copy.
I played it and I'm like, how is this anything that high? Like I didn't actually read the review. Maybe I should to see what the hell they're saying about it, but it's just so bad.
Is this
It's
something as
boring.
like a big Lord of the Rings fan is more effective?
Since I'm such a Lord of the Rings fan, it's
you're being much more critical about it, and like you're raw dogging it a little bit more with that score.
I don't think so, because it would be the opposite for me. As someone who was looking at this game pre-release, was like, no, this doesn't look like a great game, but I'm excited because it's Lord of the Rings. I could look past it as like, I can't even look past it being merely just borderline and be like, yeah, but it was Lord of the Rings, so I had fun being in that world. That was fun.
Right.
But it wasn't. None of it was fun.
They go up, they don't come down. That's all.
No fun to be had in this.
I'll put that as the title. No fun to be had in this.
It never fucking matters. You escape, you do everything great, and then they're like, Gollum escaped. It's like, oh, okay.
To bring him back in by like the nape of his neck.
Yeah. So like, why does it matter if I want it? Because there's also plenty of times like, I want to sprint past things. Just like I could just sprint past and climb up the wall. It's like, oh no, they saw you. You got caught. But it doesn't fucking matter, because once you get out of there, they're gonna be like, hey, Gollum escaped. Look for him. So it's like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. Let me run past them. That
you should just be able to go back to your bed and go to sleep. And like, no, I'm not. Guys, I'm really not in the mood for the games tonight. Yeah. Like, I'm tired.
Do. When you're in Mordor and you're in your prison cell with like 3 other people, you do have to like go to your spot, which is just rock floor, but you do have to hold Y to end day and go to sleep.
Sick.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Immersion. Let's talk about notable game releases that are 100% going to be better than Gollum because they can't possibly be worse.
I can't imagine any of these being worse. I don't
Dylan,
even know what one of them is. The first one's
what...
Pikmin 4.
Okay.
That's coming on July 21st on the Switch.
Coming out the same day, July 21st, 2023. I'm going to pronounce it, I believe it's Sephony. Seems
That's
like
what I would say.
fun puzzle game. It's a little third-person platformer set in like a series of caves on like this land where you're kind of going around. It just looks like cute and fun. That'll be coming out for the PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch.
After that, I did not realize this game was coming out so soon.
Apparently.
Remnant 2 is coming out July 25th on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. That first game is a very fun game. Never finished it, but it's fun.
We found one of Dylan's coverable games.
Potentially. We'll see.
I think I might cover that shit with Dylan. He's gonna Dylan all over
No,
it.
actually, my next game, spoiler alert. Maybe not my next one, because my next one's Pikmin 4. But we got WrestleQuest is coming out at the beginning of August, so we'll have another wrestling episode.
Damn it.
That'll be happening at some point. Maybe we'll wait for Lyle to be back to do the wrestling episode. So I'll have someone who can actually listen to me.
I'll be thinking about more possible crossovers for wrestling that could happen.
There
I'll
you
just write
go.
them down. We'll see what I come up with the next time.
I think that's gonna do it here for us, Dave.
Yeah, it sucked all the energy out of us.
It's so bad.
There's no
so
good ending.
bad.
He doesn't become invisible. It's bad.
It's just bad. I mean it. It is. I mean, to be fair, usually if a game comes out and it's getting horrible reviews, like across the board, I'll just avoid it. So I'm not exactly out there actively seeking bad games. With that being said, this is one of the, if not the worst game I've ever played. Burn it in the fire. Never touch it again.
And we're only halfway through the year.
Bye, Dave.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for stopping out. Take a deep breath and an Advil.